What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And before we get into today's video, I just want to say, if you're a fan of those legends of the game, then I would definitely recommend subscribing to the channel because that's all I focus on. Also, guys, if this is content that you enjoy, I would greatly appreciate it if you would posterize that like button. That would help me out a great deal with the YouTube algorithm. And with that being said, let's get right into today's video. So guys, this is another build request that I've gotten, and it was actually the same person that requested the Sam Perkins build, so I definitely want to thank you for both of those requests. I definitely, really enjoy doing these requests, and especially this Jamal Mashburn build, simply because, well, as many of you may know, I do live in Kentucky, and, well, in the mid 90s, or in the 90s, I should say, um, you know, Kentucky early on, they didn't really have a lot of big names. And then, in all honesty, Mashburn was probably the biggest name of the 90s. One may argue Antoine Walker, but Mashburn was, he was definitely, I feel like he was the biggest name that, Kentucky was able to recruit. He was a terrific ball player. He was a really, really good player in college. And of course, he was a very, very good scorer in the pros as well. And yeah, for those of you that, you may not have seen Jamal Mashburn play, when I think of Jamal Mashburn, I don't really think of a flashy player. I don't think of a guy that, shoots a lot of threes or is able to dunk on just anyone or anything like that. But I do picture, basically, he had this move where he would essentially, um, post you up regardless of where he was on the floor. He would just put his back to you, and he would pretty much back you to where he wanted to be on the court, and then he would just do like a turnaround fadeaway or just a turnaround jumper. And it was just that's when I think of Jamal Mashburn, that's the move that I think of, right? And he was so effective for him. He was really good. He was he was a good shooter. And with his size at 6'8", 240, he was also a load to handle at small forward, so uh, his ability to score, from the perimeter, he wasn't a big 3-point shooter, but his mid-range game was really, really nice. In his ability to do that, um, it made him a very difficult cover. So what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to do this build, and you do get a nice name with this as well. Now, we'll go ahead and tell you, um, just like with other builds that I've done, if you wanted to do the more finishing with a little bit less shooting, you could do that. If you wanted to do the Hall of Fame shooting and Hall of Fame finishing, you could do that as well. But the one that we're going to use is the one that's a little bit more shooting with a little bit less finishing. Of course, anytime we're doing shooting in our build, we're going to go ahead and we're going to choose speed as our primary. Then we're going to max out our close shot, our driving layup, and our driving dunk. And then we're going to take our standing dunk. We're just going to take it up to 60, okay? And then on our shooting, of course, we're going to max out everything here on our shooting. And then we're going to max out our pass accuracy, our ball handling, and our post control. Now, if you're looking at this build right away, you probably notice that it's going to be very offensive heavy. And that's just because, in all honesty, I mean, Mashburn, he wasn't a the greatest of defenders, right? He was a really, really good scorer, but he wasn't an elite defender or anything like that. So, but the good thing is with this build, I mean, you're not going to be terrible on defense. You're not going to be an elite defender, but you're going to be able to score really, really well. And I mean, if you look at this, we'll just look at this real quick. You've got 11 finishing, 26 shooting, and 17 playmaking badges. You've only got that one defensive and rebound badge, but depending on how you play this build will determine, the badges that you choose, okay? And of course, for this, we're going to go solid. We're going to go 6'8", 240. So you're going to be a really, really strong player. Now you can, if you wanted to, you can max this wingspan out and, get a little bit better on your dunking and things like that. But I really feel like if you want to get the most out of this build, I would just leave it at the default wingspan. Just to make it that much more lethal, right? Um, Now for the takeover guys, it really depends on you and your playstyle, right? If you wanted to play this build as like a 4 or a center, you would definitely want that post scoring. You could do slasher if you want to play it at the small forward, or you could also do spot up shooter for really either one of those three. But we're just going to go slasher here to just help improve that ability of finishing around the basket. And as you can see, guys, you actually get a pretty rare name with this one, a small ball 4. I do like that because that's something that you don't really see a lot of, right? When you're playing. So it is a different it is a different title. It's not anything that you see a lot of like play shots, things like that. So that's nice. Now for this, guys, it really depends on you. I would definitely go fearless finisher, and then the next badges are really going to be chosen based on how you play this build. Okay, so if you're going to be someone you want to play this build at small forward, then what I would do is I would do acrobat and slithery finisher, and then for the last couple, you could do fast twitch, limitless takeoff. Um, you know, just whatever you really want to do with that. Um, you know, it depends on your play style and how you're going to play with this, right? You will just do posterizer if you're going to do this as a slashing build. Now, if you want to play this as more of a back to the basket build, this is what I would do. Okay. If you're going to play back to the basket, of course, I would do back down Punisher because you're going to need that to get your position under the basket. Fast twitch is another good one because it'll speed that up. In fact, I would just go bronze on that. And then what I would do is I would do grace under pressure on gold and then rise up on bronze as well. So this is more if you want to play, with your back to the basket and post moves and things like that. Yeah, of course, I mean, you could do Dream Shake, you could do Drop Stepper as well. But if you want to play this as a slasher, I would definitely do Acrobat, Slithery Finisher on gold, and then I would do Limitless Takeoff and Posterizer on bronze. So it depends on how you're going to play this build, right? Then for this one, guys, of course, blinders. We're going to do Deadeye. I feel like another one, as always, you want to do Hot Zone Hunter. Now, you could do Limitless Spot Up with this build if you wanted to. Me personally, I definitely want Fade Ace. I definitely want that. Catch and Shoot's another one that I feel like you would want on this build. Um, and then, for the other ones, guys, it really depends on you, right? Corner Specialist is a really, really good one with this build. I feel like Difficult Shots is a must because I feel like with this build, you're going to be playing a lot from the mid range. So, Difficult Shots is really, really good. We'll put Limitless Spot Up on bronze. And then for the last one, you could just do Corner Specialist on bronze if you wanted to. Maybe Green Machine, Rhythm Shooter, whichever works for you. And then for the playmaking badges, guys, of course you want to do Unpluckable because with this build, you're probably going to be handling the ball a little bit. You could also do Stop and Go. Space Creator is another good one, I feel. Quick First Step is a good one, especially if you're going to be playing this as a slasher build. You definitely want Quick First Step. Now, if you're going to be playing this, from the post, I feel like Post Playmaker is a good one. You also want Bullet Passer. Needle Threader on bronze is a good one as well. And then, of course, Glue Hands is always a really, really good one to have. Now, if you're not going to be playing from the post with this build, I would go ahead and just take that off. I would put Glue Hands on gold. And then for the last one, you could do Quick Chain. You could do Handles for Days, Triple Threat, Tied Handles, just whichever you prefer. So it just depends on how you play with this build, right? And then of course you've got that one offensive or defensive and rebounding badge. So this depends again. If you're going to be an inside player, I would definitely go Intimidator or Post Lockdown. One of the two, maybe Rim Protector if you want to play this at the 5, or Rebound Chaser. But if you're going to be playing a small forward, I would definitely say go ahead and do Clamps just to kind of help you play defense on the perimeter a little bit. So, I mean, it really depends on you and how you do with this build, guys, because with this build, like I said, you can go small ball with it. You can play this at the 4 or the 5 and do really, really well. So it just depends on you. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I feel like this is a really, really good Jamal Mashburn build. If you've never seen him play, guys, go check out his highlights. He's a really, really good scorer. He was really funny. He was one of my, one of those players that, you know, I always just enjoyed watching him. Right? He was never a superstar, but he was a really good player. And he was just always fun to watch, and he was able to just get buckets, no matter, what team he was playing on or whatever. So yeah, if you've not seen him play, definitely go check him out. If you liked the video, I would appreciate it if you'd posterize that like button. And guys, if this is content that you enjoy, I would recommend subscribing to the channel. But with that being said, have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are. Have a good one.